Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is MIKEKINGBIZ, the voice of RVA business media. At MIKEKINGBIZ, we celebrate the idea that business makes society better. On behalf of the whole MIKEKINGBIZ ecosystem, we say a big thank you.
You ready to do this?
Yes.
You good?
I am. Let me put my do not disturb on.
MIKEKINGBIZ, on the mic with Mike,
And
Richmond's premier business radio platform.
Oh my goodness, Mike.
Nah, we just corner boys with the corner office. I'm at the cap table, what the splits is. Not that cap table, boy, we live this.
Promoting how business can make the community better. No one does it better than MIKEKINGBIZ, on the mic with Mike. Check it out. MIKEKINGBIZ.
With these mics, I feel like I'm custom model.
This is MIKEKINGBIZ.
Rounds of life, but still boxing my shadow.
This is MIKEKINGBIZ.
Never threw in the towel though. Hip hop's Messi, Neymar, and Ronaldo. Go! Scored on these boys. I done won damn near every single award on these boys. Sold out movie theaters and even tours on these boys. Feeling like a mop wipe the floor with these boys. People ask me how MIKEKINGBIZ.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the mic with Mike King, coming to you from the MIKEKINGBIZ Call Federal Credit Union Radio Studio. Yes, it is. What we do is we talk to the best and the brightest. You know what? This is the treat. In the media business, this is called a get. I got the best business communicator in the city, in the area. She's the best I've ever seen. And I talked to a whole bunch of people who can convey business topics to make them make sense. The one and only, hold on a second, I got to do the propers. The one and only Steph B is in the building. Steph B is in the building. All right, tell us who you are, man.
I am Steph B. I'm the original founder of the Happy Hustler movement. I have recently launched a new part of my business. As the founder of the Vibe Collaborative, I am the architect of Power Fluency, and I work with women of all ages and all races to help them access their power. I've moved my business into a brand that is anti-empowerment. For about 10 years, I believed empowerment is a con. And so now we're here with Power Fluency, helping women tap into what they already know about themselves and to the power that they have, and then executing. And that's our big focus for this next era of life. You know, Steph B is not just for Bryant, it's B, better every era. You got to be better every era, and that's what I do.
You are named by a number of monikers.
The B with the bow.
The B with the bow.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown.
That's my favorite. And okay, so here you were there talking to women about empowerment, not empowerment.
Right.
What is it that you think stops women from really stepping into the power that they have?
I think a lot of times people see it as motivation. For instance, I'll use myself as an example. And it comes down to the right people, the right environment, and knowing what ops are in your opportunities, right? And I'll get into that later. But I think what women often face is they believe, or people are telling, oh, you're procrastinating, you're not doing it on the timeline, you're not doing it when I want you to do it. They're tied into so many things. And what I've found is for a lot of women that have vision and they believe in their mission, they just don't know how to execute. They don't have access to some of the resources that the gentlemen in our industries might have. But even more importantly, they're not aligning their values with their mission. And if you don't believe in it, it won't happen, right? If you believe in it, you truly believe in it, you truly believe you're aligned with it, you will make it happen because it becomes a natural flow, a natural process. So we're helping people with, it's a collaborative of coaches with myself, when we're stepping away from that term coach, because we're seeing that be overused for people who are merely cheerleaders and they're empowering others. And we're in a space of facilitation. How do you tap into that power? If you're already a businesswoman, you want your business to grow. Sales, branding, communications might be the area that you could look at, and you tap into your personal power to make that happen. If you're a young woman and you're trying to decide what to do next and you're personal life, in your education space. It's about understanding how to make decisions based on what aligns with your values. I think once you do that, it gets ahead of motivation. And that's typically what it is. You're not motivated to do it because it doesn't align as well with who you are and what you want to be doing.
There you go, the one and only Steph B. So, you got here because I saw something that really got to me.
Okay.
And, you know,
I'm always nervous when you say I saw something.
Yes, I saw something. And I'm on ESPN. Everyone knows that. But I don't talk sports a lot of times. This is a business show. Mm-hmm. Years ago, you dropped knowledge on us about the whole Sha'Carri Richardson saga.
Unfortunately, it was back
in the news once again.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so really touch on the person, the brand. Give us a little bit of what you told me back then about the person being the brand and responsibilities you have with that. And then we're going to talk about there's some real world consequences. When the whole skit was saying, when keeping it real goes wrong.
Keeping it real goes wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, you know, so back then with Sha'Carri and even now, what we have to remember, whether you're looking politically or anything else, people are triggered by the cult of personality, right? And so once you don't have to be famous. Everyone has a brand. I focus on human brand development, how you, in your human form, present yourself in a communicative style, present your brand to the world, how you want people to perceive you. What Sha'Carri fell into was missing her ability to use her power properly. Her platform is power. Who she is power, but she fell into the part of her brand that's too personal. Everyone doesn't need to know what goes on beyond the curtain, right? And that's the thing about a brand is you can be authentic and protect some areas of your life so that it doesn't have this huge implication or impact, negative impact to what you're trying to achieve. And I think even now, the last few things that I've heard about Sha'Carri have not been about her races. If I want to see what she's doing in her track season, I have to intentionally go to find her on YouTube. If I want to know what's happening in her personal life, the things that are hurting her brand, I only have to listen to the radio once or click a button on my phone. I mean, she's everywhere for the wrong things.
That's right, Steph B. Okay, so that was back in the day. I hate to be like the old man. Well, you know, back in the day. But here, it comes back. It comes back now, and this is Super Bowl week.
Yes, I'm very excited.
And we had the announcement of the Hall of Fame. And there was a big omission that caused a stink.
Ah.
Yes. Bill Belichick did not get into the Hall of Fame.
No.
He did not.
Yeah.
I called you in an uproar.
Yes, you did.
I can't believe this.
And I said,
Mike, take a look. Okay.
I said, Mike, I can believe it.
The floor is yours.
Yeah.
Explain. Okay, and I'm going to tell you they're saying, okay, if there have been 59 Super Bowls, he's been in 10 of them.
Right.
Clearly, he's won 8. 6 as a head coach, 2. Mm-hmm. My work says I'm ready for the gold jacket. And you start schooling me, ma'am. The floor is yours.
So I would say specifically about Bill Belichick, I love those stats. Who doesn't love the stats of a winner?
Yes.
Right? But if you're going to tap into your inner villain and you want to be accepted, you can't be Thanos. You can't own all of the infinity stones, tear everything down, and then be mad that you don't have an audience clapping for you, right? So when you think about your brand, and Bill Belichick very specifically, so Bill Belichick's brand as a coach, outside of Deflategate, it's not tarnished. But his brand as a human being is very tarnished. People don't like him, right? And so when it comes to something that has to be voted on, and part of that vote is a popularity contest, I mean, let's be real here. That happens in politics.
Yes, it is.
People don't pick someone they don't like. Not everyone who's voting is politically educated. They're motivated by the human brand that they're interacting with. So what's happened with Bill Belichick, my belief, you know, I use it, lose it, or refuse it. I'm rarely wrong on things like this one. When it comes to branding, what I believe is you can't outrun what you've done personally, even when you've been successful professionally. I mean, and I'm not saying it's as big as this, but you look at the Me Too movement, right?
Yes.
It simply became about verbiage around someone's personal behavior and how we need to look at that and break that down. And a lot of people got pushed out of their craft. Oscar-winning producers, Oscar-winning actors, and all of this other stuff. No longer does your work matter, when your personal brand is so tarnished. So what do we know about Bill Belichick from the time I'm a Giants fan, so I've had my interactions with Belichick too. You go from the time he was working as a coordinator and everything. He has always had a brand as being no nonsense, very pushy, very intentional when coaching. No one's going to complain about that.
No.
Because it got results. You also have a brand of being hard to interact with, dating a young girl who now is tarnishing that brand. You've gone to college and you're not being successful. You are now letting the personal override the professional. And the Hall of Fame has some personal implications on the vote. If it didn't, Pete Rose would be in there. We are all now, people are voting, betting on sports left and right. And
I know.
Pete Rose is still not in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
For betting.
Something we now not only push people toward, we advertise it to them during the game, and he's still not in there. And that is because there's an entire perception of a cult of personality around him. I believe that's what got, you can't rest on your laurels. You can do great things professionally, but in a world, in a space where you can't hide, social media is prevalent. I mean, we've seen pictures of Bill Belichick shirtless coming out of a rental property. We should not see that. You know, we shouldn't know about his relationship with a 20-something-year-old woman. It's not our business. But now that it is, then it starts to create all kinds of other friction around the brand. And I believe that not just his current, but the fact that he's not likable harmed him when getting into the Hall of Fame. And also, it just proves the point that men, women, it doesn't matter. People will judge based on the experience they have with you. They're emotional about it.
So the value of likability.
Huge. I mean, have you ever listened to music in the current day and thought, this person is not really that talented when you see them live or things like that? But they are on every award show. They're called for interviews. People want to interact with them. There is a huge piece of your brand that's always going to be attached to how people feel about you.
Steph B is here with us, business. She's not a business coach, she's a strategist. So when you talk to younger people or people in business, explain the power of that, the likability part for them to be successful. Because in the past, you had older people. Yeah. You dealt with some older, mature folks who had some miles on them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Now all of a sudden you looked up and said, some of the younger folks need some of those things because when we get a little older, we start getting a little gun shy. We start getting nervous to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
It's harder to coach and convince people to do certain things at that age and stage.
Sure. I mean, time has value, right? And so, for instance, I'm going to be 50. I looked at what that meant. I looked at what it meant for my business. And I looked at what it meant for the legacy of my business and who I wanted to be interacting with. And that's what led me to a larger space, a larger audience, and it's people that I connect well with because I am the parent of a Gen Z and a millennial. I connect well with that audience. And what I tell them often is two things that scares them is to remember that social media is a tool. And it's a tool that you're allowed to command, and you're allowed to command it to your great success or your demise. You're entitled. You can go either way with that, success or demise. But we have to acknowledge they're going to use social media. It doesn't make sense to tell young people stay away from social media. They're going to use it. It is here. It is and it's going to expand, right? And so I always tell them, remember the reputation and the brand you're building for yourself on there. And whatever you're putting out there, remember that's what people are buying. or choosing not to. The other thing that I tell them is that it's important early to acknowledge who your human resources are and to make those connections. Because I think that one of the things that's happened in the space of empowerment, and that whole grift of empowerment down to, red lipstick is empowering. It is not. It is just lipstick. But with young people, what I've said to them is, the real power is identifying what's in you that makes other people want to connect with you. And older people in the business world are a part of your resource. Being able to go and ask for what you want and ask for it in a very clear, cohesive manner. So that's really where I'm focusing on, is making sure in an environment where we now know that it's harder for young people to buy homes, they're not coming out of college and being immediately and gainfully employed. I now have parents reaching out to me saying my child needs to be more competitive in how they communicate their skill set coming out of college. I have women calling me saying, I run a business that is now facing industry impact, and I need to reposition who I am and what I say about myself. And so it's not just a readjustment for youth and young people coming in. It's also a readjustment for women who are already in business spaces and need to expand on what that looks like. And it really comes down to tapping into the resources and using your personality in a way that allows people to want to be that resource for you.
The one and only Steph B. How can people get hold of you out there for your insight?
Well, they can. We are actually launching the Vibe Collaborative's new website. For now, they can reach me at hello@stephaniebryant.com. That's hello@stephaniebryant.net. Pardon me, hello@stephaniebryant.net. You can email me there. It will send everything to stephb.com, which is going to be the hub of the Vibe Collaborative. And again, what our mission is to move beyond empowerment. It's, the feel-good moment. I truly believe, I'm an anecdote person. I think people need to understand. So we talked about Bill Belichick, right? I come from a world of cheerleading. My daughter was a high school cheerleader. I was a cheerleader, and then
I can tell with the bow,
with my lifelong bow wearer. And then being around all-star cheerleading. Cheerleading is its own thing.
Yes, it is.
It's an all-star sport. It's its own thing, right? No football player, when you have your last time out to call, is calling and running to the sidelines
to talk
to the cheerleaders, because the cheerleaders are going to say, that's all right, that's okay, you're going to beat them anyway, right? It's the whole yay, rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. That's their job. Their job is to motivate you to keep going and to come back whether you win or lose. But the job of a facilitator, someone who moves you forward with your success, is to have those deeply aligned conversations. It's when you run off the sidelines and you have 20 seconds to game plan. That's the person you're going to, so that when you go back on the field, you make the right decisions. And so I'm in a stage and a space right now where empowerment is, for me, cheerleading. And it's great and it's fine. I just think that you can get it for free from your family and friends. And then there are facilitators and strategists like myself who want people to take greater advantage of the power they have and what that means in the current environment.
So when you look at, a person is at a cheerleading stage, whatever, how do you look at a person, or you guide them to say, that was, your business has to morph into something else? There's that next step. Everyone does not have the vision to make it happen.
Right.
Sometimes I kind of think you're that person who can help guide them down the road. So you've taken your business from that to 20 seconds left. All right, what we're gonna run this play.
That's right.
Talk about, the evolution of Steph B and that process for the regular business person out there.
Sure. For me, it simply was, if you're going to run a business, you obviously are looking at revenue, but even more importantly, to me, it was value alignment. Again, back in August, an opportunity was pulled away from me, and I had to step back and go, that opportunity wasn't working out well, and there was some of that I owned. And the reason it wasn't working out well was it didn't align with the values and the outcomes that I was driving toward. It wasn't going to work out well, no matter how much motivation or how much knowledge I had. So I had to step back and look at my business and say, what is it that really aligns with who I am, how I believe, and what I can do for others that will help me tap in and change the business as it is, and really step outside of this coaching space that has been created, that is more about talking to people and not giving them results.
Okay, hold on 1 second with that.
Uh-oh.
So when that's a comfortable spot you were in.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. You're good. The deal's good.
Yeah.
Everything's going.
Yes.
You might see a little something, but man, does it have to change because something made it change? Or all of a sudden Steph was just like, this doesn't align with me. Because the aligning there, maybe the money's there, maybe the opportunity's there. All those things are there to make you say, no, I'm
good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But we're not good. So what does it take for you to say, nah, you know what? I'm not good, and I need to go ahead and make the change because change is painful.
Change is
hard.
And I think change is painful because the mindset around change is negative, right? And it's immediately like, oh gosh, I gotta change, I gotta move, I gotta do this, I gotta buy a new car. What it really boils down to is change as an opportunity. And here's what made me start looking at my business differently. First of all, I was able to look at the landscape. This is what I would recommend to other people. Look at the landscape of the industry or the environment that you're in, what you're currently doing. I look sometimes at certain industries, and for instance, real estate. I can look at the real estate industry and see 80 real estate agents, and I know the game plan. It's pretty similar. It's a standard format. It's why you have so many people get into it on a regular basis. It's hard to be successful because so many people are doing it. But if you're in that space and you're looking at what's going on in the world, what's the next step? Is the next step coaching other people and facilitating their success in that space? So for me, I was like, okay, how do I make my business align with my goal, which is people being happy hustlers? Does the business align with your values? Are you making decisions? So when that happened to me, I stepped back and I was like, let's look. There's always an opportunity, but are there any ops? So, young people, they always say, yeah, those are my ops. Anybody who's against them is an op. Yes. Or anything that you don't agree with them, you're my op. Well, there are things that are oppositional to your opportunity. And what I had to look at and say was, okay, this was pulled away from me, but in truth, it didn't align with my values. It didn't align with my outcome goals. It didn't align with my communication style. And it was causing me to hesitate on making decisions. That is a good sign that your business or something within it needs to change. It's very easy to make decisions when the options and opportunities align with who you are, and if you're honest about it. So for instance, my values don't align with driving, a G-Wagon. That's not where my values are. Would I like something like that? Maybe, but my values, and I'm excited and happy. I have a couple of girlfriends and I'm happy for them, right? But it's not where my values align. So what if I started saying, well, now I need to earn more because I want a G-Wagon. Mm-hmm. Now my business becomes an unhappy process because I'm over here working for something that doesn't even align with my values. And that's what I see with a lot of businesses owned by women. You get into the rat race of trying to make the money, and then it starts to move away from your value system. You're in the rat race of trying to be known. It moves away from your value system. And you can have a successful business, but not a prosperous one. You can have a successful business, but not one that's feeding your joy. And that's truly what I started looking at was, what do I want the legacy of my business to be other than just me being active? Okay.
What does an engagement with Steph look like when a person starts out? They showed up on your doorstep.
Hopefully not.
They need help. There's two things. What does the engagement look like? And what is something is going to pop up? A question, a topic. It's just a matter of whether it's Wednesday, Friday, next week, you are going to have to address something that's in the atmosphere right now.
Yeah, I think so. Two things. The first thing that you mentioned, engaging with me is very simple. One, the Vibe Collaborative, we are facilitating workshops, labs, conferences. I just came back from lab space on a college campus up north, and so there's lots of ways to do that. I also do corporate trainings. I've been doing small corporate trainings for women-owned businesses that are trying to help their employees really tap into their power fluency. And so, what we do is we give you the tools to tell us where you want to start. So you email me, we send you the forms that help determine whether you need to be at which one of our courses or labs or conferences you should attend, which one of our workshops. I only work with individuals one-to-one if I sense that it's serious enough to them, because change and progress requires commitment. And that's where I am in my space as well. So they can, there are lots of ways. Like, I recognize that some of my younger clients don't have fees for one-to-one coaching. We want this to be accessible to them. And that's why we've come with these guided workshops. They can even have self-guided courses. We have built out so many new labs to help women be helpful in the space that they're in. But we also are launching this conferencing system to really put them in a room with one another so that they in real time access and apply their power.
There you go, ladies. So what's the thing that is a problem that would pop up? It's there for everybody.
Yeah, I think there's several things. One is potential. A lot of people come and they don't know, they have a belief in the potential of their goal. They don't know how to execute it. So that tells me they don't know about the potential of their market, who's out there to invest in them, what they can do to invest in themselves. And so we often will help them to step back from the panic that they're having to really give a better guide and help them look at the landscape. The other thing is people are consistently talking, particularly my younger audience, they're talking about the lack of opportunity. I would be clear to people 45 plus that we do need to own some of the feeling that that people of younger generations are feeling, right? They're experiencing a very different, or even, they believe in perception.
It's reality.
It's reality for a lot of people, right? And they believe that they're experiencing a very different environment than those of us 45 plus who were able to come out of college, get a job, buy a home, whatever they feel you were able to do. This current environment, for lots of different reasons in their minds, is not allowing them to do that. So the other thing that we do with that audience is we really help them to get beyond the limitations of what they perceive and step into what they are capable of doing in any environment. It is possible, listen, it's possible to be successful in any environment. That's what I truly believe. It is possible to be successful in any environment. It is not possible to be successful with every mindset. And so while we're not just trying to shift the mindset, we're trying to we're working to get them to see who they are so that they invest in their own mindset. Because I think that is, that's the responsibility of being an execution facilitator as opposed to an empowerment coach, is I got to get you to see who you are so you execute repeatedly and successfully on your own. So that's what we're doing. We've built this collaboration so that they don't need us for the rest of their lives, and they become better every era and apply those things as they grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steph B talks. This is what plays.
Says.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get.
All right, one last time, I'd like to thank Steph for coming in. How can people reach you one last time, ma'am?
You can reach me at hello@stephaniebryant.net. That is hello@stephaniebryant.net. I will get back to you. We are also going to be, if you come to Facebook, stephaniebryant.net is also going to be launching 5 free spots for our Life KPI camp. And so I do want to mention this. Every business has key performance indicators, how they're working well, and why it's working well, and they're doing repetitive things. And our belief is that every person should identify the key performance indicators in their own life. What are you doing that's working? What are you doing that's working well? How do you do it repetitively? How do you expand on it? Also, what are you doing that's reducing the power that you have? So we are giving away, and hopefully you'll be willing to announce.
We will.
And we're giving them those 5 spots, and then they will have access to our conference, our Power Fluency Conference.
See, folks, I was not fooling around. Steph is the best who is out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is MIKEKINGBIZ, the voice of RVA business media. At MIKEKINGBIZ, we celebrate the idea that business makes society better. On behalf of the whole MIKEKINGBIZ ecosystem, we say a big thank you.
This is the night that 10 years, 15, 20 years, you're going to be looking back and saying, I was here. There's an inflection point happening in technology. We get to lead it, and we get to lead it right here in Richmond.
We must prepare existing workers, students, and communities to be able to use AI so that no one is left behind.
The real story isn't AI itself. The real story is what AI makes possible. AI is the new keyboard. It's the new mouse. It's not the answer, it's the instrument. And the more people we hand that instrument to, the more possibilities we turn into realities.
People want to be together when you're making a difference. How can we make Richmond, make the region, and in part, all of Virginia, the most AI ready? A lot of people ask me, do we just want to be the Silicon Valley of the East Coast? The quote everybody keeps on having me re-ask is no. My mission is for Silicon Valley to be the Richmond of the West Coast.
Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter with Lynn Lewis. I am your host, Lynn Lewis, and I am so glad that you are here with us today. For those of you who have not had the privilege of meeting me, I am a certified grief educator, speaker, author. I am also the Chief Empathy Officer for Destined to Thrive Grief Services. This month is considered Mental Health Awareness Month, along with several other things. And as a grief educator, I am aware that sometimes mental health is affected by grief. And I am also aware that hair loss is something that causes people to experience grief because it is a loss. I have my friend, my colleague, one of my co-authors here with me today, Dana Wilson. Dana, introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you for having me. I'm Dana Wilson. I am a master loctician and a certified trichologist. I help and support individuals and hair practitioners add scalp, going to a scalp rejuvenation and hair regeneration. So I'm happy to be here.
And also another thing is the cold cap.
Yes.
For cancer patients.
Yes, for people who want to save their hair if they're going through chemo, I can absolutely help people with that.
Amazing, amazing. So I mentioned a minute ago that hair loss can cause people to experience grief, though. So I just like to share, when I talk about loss and grief, what I mean. So briefly, loss is when we no longer have access to something that we cared about, something or somebody that we loved or was important to us. And for many, many, many people, hair is important. So today our conversation is going to be around hair loss grief.
Yes.
Hair loss grief. And I know for and then grief is our emotional reaction to a loss. And I do know just from the work that I do in the grief arena is usually when we hear the word grief and loss, we automatically think death. And so as you will see from this conversation today, it is not exclusive to death.
That's correct.
It's a huge part of it, but it is not exclusive. So let's talk about hair loss grief. And I'll start with myself. When I met you, I think I had was I still wearing locks?
You were.
Okay.
You were.
So I wore sister locks for 8 years. And for no reason other than I decided I wanted to change. And that was the main reason. And so I got a big chop.
Okay.
But the other thing about me and hair is I've always said, it's just hair. It's going to grow back. And usually it did. But this time around, for some reason, my hair did not grow back like I was anticipating that it would. And I know that I experienced some grief behind that because I expected to have an Angela Davis size afro by now. And because that's been 3 years ago. Now, it has grown some longer than you see it today, but it did not just grow. And so I experienced a little bit of grief, like, wow, what's going on? What's happening? Why is my hair not growing like I anticipated? And so when I had the opportunity to host this radio show, Conversations That Matter, I thought about you because it is huge. You see it, and I'm sure that you see it often, but you see it how people are trying to stretch the hair that they have left and all of those things. So talk about. And I also wanted to say that I had never heard of a trichologist until I met you. So take it away, Dana. Talk to us about trichology and some of your experiences with the hair loss of your clients and how you see it affecting them.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course.
So let me just say that a trichologist is someone who specializes in scalp disorders, hair, and hair loss. So we know the dermatologists, right? They deal with hair, skin, nails, right? But scalp is skin, okay? Scalp is skin. And so the reason I even got into this field is because I started losing my hair. And it wasn't the kind of hair loss that was hair on the floor or anything. It was just a lower density. I just seen my part was getting a little wider kind of thing. And as I shared before, I'm a master loctician, so I was serving clientele that were also losing their hair. And so I said, when I started losing my hair, I'm like, I need to figure out something. It has to be more, because the clients was going to the dermatologist. Their hair would grow for a minute and then it's gone again. So I needed to figure something out, only to find out that it is primarily 75 to 80% internal.
Wow. So you're telling me that my hair not growing back like I thought, it could be something internal.
Absolutely.
And you're going to help me with
That's
that.
right. No, it's internal. And that was a huge mindset shift for me, that when speaking to my clients and for myself, we need to investigate internally. I also understand that hair loss is not cosmetic, right? It really is a medical issue, just like any other medical issue. Okay. So we have some things that we can do that contribute to the hair loss, like pulling and tugging in certain places all the time, and then the hair said, I don't want to grow anymore.
Right.
But it is internal. It really is. But the emotional piece, it's interesting. After having a conversation with you, I connected to in a way where I'm saying grief, but it absolutely, we experience grief around the loss of our hair, because our hair is our crown. Right? And even for myself, obviously I was in the hair business, so I was afraid I'm losing my hair. How that's gonna work? I'm losing my beauty and my business. There's a problem here. But it is very emotional. A lot of us really suffer in silence.
Right.
We cover up and things of that nature, right? Because we don't know how to deal with it, or we are accustomed to thinking that, okay, if my mom down her family line, they lost their hair, I'm gonna lose mine, and that's just it. No, it's usually lifestyle behaviors that is, same lifestyle behaviors that's contributing to this hair loss.
And I've heard, and I don't know whether it's a myth or not, or whether you even know, but I've heard that if your father have hair loss, then you're more apt to have it. And I remember my father didn't lose all of his hair, but he had like the bald spot appear, his hair thin. And while I had my locks, I noticed that mine was thinner up here. Like, I don't want to be bald like my pops, in that spot.
Yes.
And so, like you said, it could, we hear all kinds of different things. And by the way, this is not just about women. Men deal with the hair loss, the grief behind the hair loss, and we see a lot of men who try their level best. It seems that they're doing their level best to hold on to their hair with the swoop over, but when you learn that maybe they're not just trying to say that, it could be internal, and it could really be traumatic for them.
Absolutely.
that they're losing something, and especially no control over it.
A different level of grief happens not only when we get into the internal part, right? Because you see it on the surface, your hair is gone, and then when we dig a little deeper, we realize, okay, you have this going on, you got vitamin deficiency, fibroids, thyroid issues, you're taking medications, right? The medications have side effects to, a lot of them are hair loss, right? So there's a different kind of grief just knowing that there's something going on internally. But the good thing is we know it's internal, right? So we can change some lifestyle behaviors that will actually slow that process or stop it or regrow the hair.
Wow.
Yes.
That's good.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is a mindset shift, because when I started losing my hair, I went and got a physical. I'm like, what's going on? Only to find out I had fibroids. Okay, and that was a contributing factor, because fibroids get large because of blood flow, right? And every follicle on our head has blood flow associated with it. And so if blood is not flowing here, I'm gonna lose my hair.
Right.
It was actually growing the fibroids, so I had to get that under control. So the beauty is that we can do something about it. We don't have to surrender to the wigs, and there's nothing wrong with wigs, okay? But we don't have to surrender to that, because we think that this is just our plight. And it is a myth that you can shave it off and it's just going to start off fresh. So whatever that was going on internally with you, it still happened internally within you, and you got to get it sorted out first.
And just having conversation with you, previously, and talking about, the hair and how it's internal a lot of times.
Yes.
So I started to play my tape back to, January. It was 3 years ago in January that I cut my hair, my locks. And so I've had to go back and think about, okay, what was happening to me in my body, and it very well could be some medication, because I had a total thyroidectomy. So of course I'm on a medication for forever now to balance that the calcium and stuff. And then I had another surgery the year before that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to my consultation with you. My consultation with you. So one of the things, and just not talking to you, but just being in your summit last year as one of your staff members, and hearing from other persons and hearing their experiences, I learned from that as well. And so I know that you have another summit coming up in about 5 weeks.
Well, less than that. The 13th through the 14th of June.
Yeah.
So we count. I think we had 3 weeks now.
Yes. So let's talk about the summit and why you decided to do the summit, and what people can expect and how they can partake.
Yes. So this summit is our second summit. I'm so excited. It really comes from my passion to support the hair practitioner. Because the hair practitioner, they're standing behind the chair, working on the client's hair, and we really should be the first line of defense for those people. Because a lot of times we lose 30% of our hair before we see it with the naked eye and say, oh, okay, wow, I'm losing hair. So we're losing time, right? In any medical issue, right? Early intervention is better, right? So that we can regain what we've lost. And so at this summit, it's really about the practitioner getting language and information and knowing how to incorporate it into their service menu to be able to support the clients. So day one is all about the practitioner. Day two, we're going to add in individuals who are maybe losing their hair and they want to get some answers around it. We want to, awareness is everything, and education is everything, and a lot of people don't understand that. In most cases, it is internal. They just looking for the lotion and potion, right? And so at the summit is about education. We're going to have a hair scientist there, nutritionist, because it's all about what we eating, and other trichologists there sharing their expertise and teaching and educating their hair practitioner on how they can incorporate it, and then also educating the client or the individual who is experiencing hair loss so they can get some answers. So we're actually doing live on spot scalp and hair assessments so that we can look at what's going on internally and externally.
And I just remember last year at the end when people were just like bombarding you, trying to be sure that they got into your classes. So talk about some of the things that you offer outside of the summit.
So the summit is like that launching pad, right, to give you a little taste of what I offer in the Holistic Hair Advocate Program. And this is a 6 to 9 month program where I'm actually teaching the hair practitioner what to look for, what to call the alopecia, because hair loss is alopecia. I noticed that people get that. They say, my doctor said I had alopecia. I said, well, that means hair loss. Alopecia is just a medical term for hair loss, right? Now we need to figure out what kind of alopecia, because every alopecia has a first and a last name, right? Because that's going to tell us what may be triggering inside, and then also how we can treat it on the outside, right? And so that is some of the education that the hair practitioners will learn in my program, and then they will be able to confidently be able to service their clients for scalp disorders and hair growth. So
Dana, tell our audience where it's going to be held and how they can
get there.
Get there. The financial investment to get there.
Yes. So it is the 13th and 14th of June is going to be in Colonial Heights, Virginia. That's right outside of south of Richmond, Virginia. Anybody can come. For day one, it's all about the hair practitioner, though. It is going to be from 9 to 5, whole day. We also gonna feed you because you're gonna get all that information you're gonna need to eat, right? And the investment for the practitioner side of the house is $399. And for if you're a client or a person is experiencing hair loss and want answers, it's $75 for day 2 to get that assessment and education. So I'm excited.
And I'm excited for you. I'm excited that I get to be a helper again this year. I'm excited that I'll be soon having my consultation. And that investment, that's a
nothingness.
Nothingness. And you think about the amount of money that we spend on products, not belittling or demeaning products, but how much money we spend, and how many of us have that drawer full or that cabinet full of products that's well exceeded that. So
specifically for the client, a consultation just around hair growth or hair loss. I like to say hair growth because it's positive, right? You're going to spend a couple of $100s just for a consultation. So a $75 investment to come for a whole day of education, and we feed you, and you're going to be able to get assessment and get some answers on the spot for your issue is like nothingness. And for the practitioner, it's an investment. It's a true investment. But $399 is like, money is money, but but when you're investing in yourself and your business, that's different. But If you're interested, you can go to my website. It's Hair Cares with the S Inc.com, Hair Growth Summit. I hope to see you guys there.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much. So you've heard all about how grief can play a part in hair loss, and you know where to go to get some answers. And then if you want to connect with me, you can reach me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I, as always, appreciate you for joining me on Conversations That Matter. And truly, this is a conversation that matters. But Conversations That Matter with Lynn Lewis. And until next time, I bid you well.
Hey, it's Kelly Lemon from the Virginia Wayside Furniture Studio for an all-new episode of 8 at 4. It's Kelly. All right, here we go.
Hey, it's Matt Pachilli from the Virginia Wayside Furniture Studio for this food-filled
I'm Kelly
episode.
Lemon.
And I'm Michael Paul Williams.
And welcome to the After the Monuments podcast.
Happy playoff season, 804 football fans.
For the Richmond Times-Dispatch, this is Jeff Shapiro.
I'm Justin Lowe, food writer for N4 Magazine and dining critic for the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and I'm here to tell you where Richmond eats.
Our marketplace is accelerating at an unprecedented rate. At Lee Enterprises Virginia and the Richmond Times-Dispatch, we are investing in the tools, talent, and technology to tell your story through a fresh lens, lifting local brands and helping businesses grow. Let us help you amplify your message, reaching the right audience at the right time.
Welcome to the Road to Richmond bracket unveiling.
Good afternoon. This is Lizzie Morrow with Third Marble Marketing. I'm here with Mike King today. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm talking?
Yes.
Mike King here with my good friend Lizzie Morrow. I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. I just wanted to come by the studio today and let everybody know that next Tuesday, June 2nd, we will be having our Alignable event over at O'Toole's.
On Forest?
Forest 11.
That's right, because that is the place to be.
Yeah, and
everybody's
we're starting
talking.
at 4 p.m.
Okay.
And we'll be there until 6:30 p.m. So come enjoy some refreshments, meet some business owners. It's a B2B networking event, and you come, you check in, let me know who you're looking to meet. I'll be happy to make introductions. We're always willing to do that sort of thing. And put your card up on the board at the end of the night. You take a picture of the board, and you have everybody's contact information.
That is the cool part about that. I've never seen that before. It beats running around collecting cards. Oh, this card, I got one card in my top pocket. One card in my pants pocket, one card in my wallet, because I went, this is a better way of doing it. Yeah. Have you guys been doing that since the beginning?
We have. Thank goodness for two-sided tape.
That is true, ladies and gentlemen. Because you guys also do that at your training sessions, don't you?
Yeah. So we do that at our in-person workshops at the office. We'll put that board out for everybody because we want people to connect. The whole point is being able to meet other folks who are in the same boat that you are, so you can help one another. So it's always a good way to look at it, see what you can do to help somebody else.
Lizzie Morrow, Third Marble Marketing, she is here with us, and this is about the Alignable event, and that is June 2nd.
Tuesday, June 2nd.
4 o'clock, O'Toole's.
4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at O'Toole's.
How we know who you guys are? You're the ones with the big smiles on your faces over on the side and the back.
Yeah, and you'll see the alignable signs. And so when you come to the restaurant, you go through to the other side of the bar, and we're on that side. So
in the back.
Yeah, it's kind of like the dual fireplaces, but it's bars.
Yes, and it is the cool place to be. You get a great turnout, a lot of people who are there doing amazing things. You get to meet other business owners.
Yeah. John O'Toole takes great care of us. O'Toole's is a wonderful establishment. That particular location has been around for over 60 years now. We love having our events there, so we appreciate their hospitality.
So you're here with the alignable part, but you are the Google gal. That's how you are known.
Yep.
Give us something to really quickly tell us about what you do on that side of the house.
So Third Marble Marketing, what we do is we are a Google Premier Partner, which means we're in the top 3% for what we do. And that would be Google Ads and search engine optimization management services. And we also build websites because of the necessity of all the Google expectations. So that's kind of evolved as a result of all the updates and changes with Google.
There you go. This is Lizzie Marble.
Lizzie Marble.
You're not Lizzie Marble. That we're just cutting it short.
It's Third Morrow.
Okay, Lizzie Marble will have 2 shows nightly, folks. That is when she's here, you know, taking jokes from the fans. All right, folks. Why am I talking like this? So Tuesday, Alignable at O'Toole's, Forest Hill Avenue.
Absolutely.
4 o'clock. Be there. Business owners, you get a great. That is true. You could be square and looking from the outside in, but it is other business owners who can help you. It's not about what you know. It's who you know. A lot of times can help take you to the next step. Mike King, Lizzie Morrow. How can people reach you, ma'am?
www.thirdmarblemarketing.com.
We're going into the summer. Is it anything that get ready for? The summer's kind of like a lull period.
Well, it's not a lull for Google. Google's got a big update coming up around June 15th, and it has to do with third-party forms and consent management. So make sure you get your consent management banner on your website, and make sure you're using a first-party form instead of a third-party form. This is really important if you're running Google Ads campaigns. So anyway, that's a big summer update from Google.
That's something. I don't know if most people knew about that.
Probably a lot would not.
And would that okay, so say I'd never heard Lizzie talk about that right there. What does that mean? So what happens if I don't do it?
Well, if you're advertising, it can mean that when you're bidding on keywords, you're going to get pushed down no matter how much you're bidding on those keywords. It's kind of like you have a. Well, we're really getting in the weeds. Can we?
Just a minute. We just go to the top of the weeds.
So you have a budget with Google Ads.
Yes.
And you say, I want to spend this much. They break it down to a daily budget. So you basically
okay. I've seen that part. I'm with you so far. We're not deep in the weeds yet.
So you take that budget, and hopefully you're making your competitive budget for your industry.
Okay.
To sell. But anyway. Regardless of how much you're bidding, Google can push you down in the rankings if you're not doing the things they want you to do. Two of the things they want you to do would be having that consent management banner, which is a cookie banner. Everybody calls it a cookie banner.
Okay.
So it's not like Chips Ahoy cookies. We're talking about privacy. So you have to have a consent banner on your website to say it's okay to track my cookies or it
I've
is
seen
not.
that part.
Yeah, you have to give the person a choice. They have to be able to click the box, whichever one they want, and move on. So it's a consent management issue that you need to address. If you don't already have that banner on your website, you need to get your website designer to put one on your website. Very important.
Okay, so now we're going to get a little bit more down in the weeds. I see that where it says, yes, I consent or I agree.
Uh-huh.
And I see the one that says, no, I don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of press the one that says, I agree.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, because, I mean, here's the thing. It's good in that you'll be able to see more. So if you don't agree, you're going to see less. You're going to have access to less.
So that's what that means, with that generally.
You're basically saying you can't track what I'm looking at on your website.
So because I'm not allowing that, you're not going to let me see everything.
Right. So it's just important to be able to have that. They actually, I mean, it kind of, in a way, is a really good thing for a business owner to have. Because they've done some research and studies show that it acts kind of like a filter for people who really want to work with you. So if they go to your website and they agree to it, chances are they're going to convert to an actual client. It's a much better chance that conversion is actually going to turn into a client because they're agreeing to your cookies and they're agreeing to, let you track them. So
There you go, Lizzie Morrow. You didn't know we went down. We didn't really go into the weeds.
A little bit.
But that's something that a person wouldn't know. So, folks, that's why you tune in and see the program. Lizzie Morrow dropping nuggets of knowledge. We got to go, folks. Thanks now. Take care.
You got a build like me. I ain't mad, you got a build like me. I'm the last of my kind. Grew up on the back road, baby. I know how to survive. Being out with the young guns blazing, so you better not try. You'll never find another like me. I'm the last of my kind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike King here, coming to you from the MIKEKINGBIZ Call Federal Media Center, high above that bustling area of Henrico County. You can follow me on all social platforms, which is On the Mic with Mike, as well as MIKEKINGBIZ. Alrighty, I keep my ear to the ground, and you start to hear things that are happening, big things happening. We're talking about in the world of adoption and foster care. We'd like to thank my man Ben for bringing it to our attention. That is Ben Bruce. So welcome to the program. You were coming to, or you can follow us on all social platforms, on Ready RVA, as well as MIKEKINGBIZ, Monday to Friday, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, 10 a.m., 12 p.m. That's where we are. Sir, welcome to the program. You were not Ben Bruce. Ben Bruce said he didn't roll in here solo. He said, I got the person in charge. The man who's making that. You came all the way across the state, correct?
Yes, sir.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We're importing folks. So you didn't even need a passport or a visa?
Let me just roll on a bit here.
You know what?
A couple of weeks.
You know, that's the way to do it. Tell us who you are, what you do, sir.
Yeah, my name is John Morris. I'm the president and CEO of Hopetree Family Services. We've been in the Richmond area for several years, probably more than 20 years now.
Okay.
We started off as the Baptist Orphanage of Virginia back in Salem, Virginia, back in 1890. So we've been around over 135 years, bringing hope to children, to families, to adults that need hope.
We're in some tough times now, with however you look at it. You guys also deal in adoption, foster care. And I said to you before, sometimes people don't do that because they think perfection is needed. Dispel that myth for me, sir.
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, there's a great need for foster care in the state of Virginia. There's almost 6,000 kids in the state right now that are in the foster care system. And there are so many families that think that they have to have a great big house, or that they have to have this much income, or that they have to have everything figured out. And really what kids need is just someone who's present. People who are real, people who want to give them support during that time, people who can be available. I mean, that's the most important thing, and definitely doesn't need perfection, because I know in my home, in my family, I'm not the perfect dad. I want to be the best dad possible. Of course, I love my children, but we're not perfect, and so they just need someone who's present. And depending on the house, the amount of space. The biggest thing they need is availability.
One of the things we look at, and we hear of, foster care and adoption. We're here in the Richmond area. Does it change? You go around the state. Is it different in different areas, or kind of like the problem is the problem?
I think there's a lot of similarities, across the state, but there are some differences in areas. For example, I live in Roanoke, and our Roanoke has one of the largest needs for foster parents in the state. In certain areas of the state, there's different reasons for why the issue of foster children are coming into care. For example, in certain areas of the state, the opioid epidemic has really impacted certain families in certain localities more than others. But I think overall, when you look across the state, there are some similarities. I mean, they are hard times these days. Families are struggling in a lot of ways, and these children are impacted. And so when they come into care, and there's so many different ways they can come into care. When they come into care, they have experienced some trauma. They have experienced some things. The things that we try to provide at Hopetree more than anything is, number one, stability. We try to provide a place of belonging, and we try to empower those individuals to lead the lives that they want to do. And we have many different programs that they can get the stability, the belonging, and the empowerment that they need. But I think that there are some differences, but there's a lot of similarities.
One of the things whenever I have leaders in, I ask them, how do you instill good culture in an organization? That's one part. The other part for folks in your world is, like counselors, you hear tough things and you see hard situations. How do you make it so that doesn't stick to your people? I always say, who takes care of the caregiver? Because the caregiver won't stop. I married one, and at times it could get to be on the fisticuff side, telling them, hold up a second. Because, they're looking at all the problems in the world, and they're here to fix it. So how do you set the culture so that, one, you take care of your people? You set a good culture for the organization. On the other side, how do you make it so that your people don't get burned out?
Yeah, I think that is a very hard balance. For us, as far as culture, it all starts with our mission and our core values. So our mission says that through God's love, we foster hope. That's the first half of our mission. And so that means we as clinicians, we as caregivers, we have to take care of ourselves first, because it's hard to show the love of God if you are burned out and if you are just weighted down with what is going on. And so to work at a place called a Hopetree, you have to be able to foster hope, to bring hope to people that might not have it at that point, Our core values, number one is ministry, and it means we just go above and beyond in service to others. Our second core value is people, meaning that everyone has dignity. Everyone deserves our respect. We want to treat everyone with that love. Number three is excellence. It means that we are always striving to get better individually, but then also collectively as an organization. Stewardship is our fourth core value, and then accountability is our final. And so we live those. We say that everyone needs to live those core values if we're going to have the culture that we want. But then the balance to that is that we need to allow people to take care of themselves. One of the things that I love about the ministry of Jesus is that so many times he took away to take care of himself, to rest. And we've got to do that because there is so much need out there. The trauma that our kids and our adults go through, our families experience, we take that weight on ourselves as social workers, but we've got to be able to have a good balance, work-life balance. We've got to be able to rest, but then keep committed to the mission, because I look at it as it's purpose over passion, right? I mean, with passion, you can do something for a while, then that passion goes away. But when you are called for a purpose, then you can keep pressing in the face of adversity, understanding that God's going to work things out for good.
You ever been a minister?
Well, I'm a deacon.
Okay. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming from a long line of preachers. I was getting ready to say you were getting wound up here. You was getting ready to get started. And it's funny because the program, what we do is we give a platform to people to tell their stories. How long have you been the president?
I've been there since 2019.
Okay. So you started in 2000. Well, you started right at a hectic time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What did you learn coming out of COVID, organizational-wise, that you guys really didn't do it before, but now all of a sudden you said, you know what? That makes sense, and you continue to do it to this day.
You know, what's amazing is that Hopetree, even before I got there, the previous administration had went through a big change in the organization with how behavioral health was delivered, especially to youth across the state. And so when I got there, we were still going through that massive transition, but we were still a very much pen and paper organization. We had to change to becoming really a digital mobile.
I see how you rolled in here. You did not come in here with pen and paper.
Absolutely.
No, you came with is that an iPad?
It is. Yeah.
You look like an iPad.
Absolutely.
You look like it.
And we had to do that. You know, I mean, we have offices in Richmond, of course, in Salem. We have 17 adult group homes across the state. And so we had to be able to work virtually. We had to be able to support one another across the state. And so we had to be able to bill electronically. So everything, virtual meetings, everything changed very, very quickly. And so we still utilize that today. Now, one of the things that I liked hearing your story earlier about the connections, I don't think you can replace the person-to-person touch. but you can use the virtual platforms to help in those areas.
So when you have people all around, and I ask leaders this all the time, there's something about being in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows, everybody's here, there. But when Mike is in Richmond, Ben's in Salem, Sue is in, Danville, this one in Northern Virginia, how do you keep that team spirit going?
Yeah.
Because every day you guys are in some hard work,
mm-hmm.
and you have to make sure that the people are okay. How do you keep that going with remote locations?
I think as much of it as you can do is you got to be present when you can. And so after I leave here, I'm going to go by one of our new group homes here that we just opened up here in the Richmond area. So I want to go and talk to the staff, see our residents there. On Wednesday, I have to be in Virginia Beach. So when I get there tomorrow, I'm going to go by 2 of our group homes in Virginia Beach. And so we try to do that as a leadership team as much as possible. For our leadership team, we have about 50 top leaders in the organization. So 2 times a year, we have an on-site, what we call our core leadership meeting, to where it's 2 days of nothing but relationships and pouring into our leaders. And so while we do have a mix of virtual, we try to do as much on-site as possible. So I'm traveling at least 2 to 3 times a week.
So here, people think that this is a high-speed show, whatever. But we have my man Ben over there holding up a card and say, "Could you? I'm kind of older, sir. Could you hold it up once again?"
So one of the things that I really love about Hopetree is our chaplaincy program. Mm-hmm. So that's another way that I think we keep connected.
Very good. So now, sir, you can tell us about the chaplaincy program.
Oh, we got a great chaplain. And so once again, it's all volunteer. Now, we were started as the Virginia Baptist Orphanage. So Baptists started us many, many years ago, and for a long time we were sustained just by donations. Today, not nearly as much donations as it was in the past. We get a lot of funding from federal, state, and local governments, but we still have our chaplain and we still have those Baptist roots. And so it is voluntary for, if people don't want to hear about the gospel, then we're not going to force that upon them. But we do present it if they are interested. So our chaplain will travel around the state. If we have some residents that get sick, he is there not just for the residents, but for the families. On our Salem campus, we have some kids that are interested in the faith and they'll want to go to church on Sundays. Well, he makes sure that they get to church on Sundays. We have voluntary Bible study for our youth, and sometimes they take advantage of that. We've actually had several kids over the last couple of years give their life to Christ and be baptized because of that ministry. And so Joel is all over the state as well, sends out devotionals a couple of times a week, and just stays connected to not just our staff, but to our residents, to our students, and to our families as well.
How long have you been in the nonprofit world?
I grew up in the nonprofit world. Actually, I started my career in 1994 at Hopetree when it was called the Virginia Baptist Children's Home. I worked in the emergency care cottage, and then I left there and went to an organization called Total Action Against Poverty. Became executive director of a place called Support to Eliminate Poverty. So I've been in poverty reduction a long, long time. I knew, when I was going to school, I graduated with a degree in psychology. I knew I just wanted to work with kids. That's the only thing I knew. But then as God promoted me over the years, I went back to Regent University to get my master's degree in nonprofit leadership. And so I worked for a time in a for-profit company, in a for-profit human services company.
You didn't feel the same?
Some aspects did.
You look like the type who lives and operates in the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
And I say that to people because the people are social justice warriors, whatever you want to call people who are doing that good work. They all sort of kind of have, I'm not going to say the look, but the story. And sometimes they're going over to the for-profit world and they go back.
Yeah.
It's the draw. I asked them about the draw. The trick is, how do we find the next generation of you?
Yeah.
Because how do we do that in a world where everything is materialistic and people are go, 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 me? We have to find that next generation of people who are understanding and caring.
You know what's interesting is I think leading a nonprofit is just as complicated as leading a for-profit.
For sure.
And so there's some people that think it's less than, and so I need to be successful over here. Well, the challenge is there in a nonprofit. I think what's different for me with a nonprofit is there definitely is a soul to it. That mission is everything. The history is so important. But the ability to make decisions on the human aspect and not just on the financial bottom line, I think is a huge draw. For example, we have some services that lose money, but the impact that they make on the lives of families and children, we're like, we don't want to lose those. And then there's some programs that the loss might be too great. But when I was in the for-profit company, if there was a service line that was not profitable, yeah, you had 90 days to correct it. And if not, you had to start shutting it down. And so we don't have to do that here. We can be much more thoughtful. We can invest in more things for our staff that when I was with the for-profit company, we just couldn't because there was no ROI attached to it. And so now if we want to make this the best place that anybody's ever worked, then we can invest in that if we can show that this is helping us achieve that goal.
How can people get information about Hopetree?
Well, I think they can go to our website, HopetreeFS is in FamilyServices.org, HopetreeFS.org. We have an office here in Richmond. We're actually down in Midlothian. We're actually getting ready to move to a brand new office. We've been expanding over the years.
Where are you guys moving to? We got your communications expert here.
Yeah, we're going to be moving to the Winchester building on Midlothian Turnpike.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things, what is it? So you guys provide a lot of services for people. What is it that Hopetree needs, and how can we help you in the Richmond market?
You know, I think there's a lot of ways to help Hopetree. One, we just want to be able to talk to like-minded people that support this work, whether it's through foster care adoption, whether it's through serving adults with intellectual disabilities, whether it's working with whole families to try to keep those kids from coming to the foster care system in the first place. You know, if this type of work interests you, we would love to talk to people. Of course, there's people that donate to us and that are wonderful financial partners with us. We couldn't do it without them. There are some people that say, hey, you know what, I might want to be a foster parent. You know, well, we would love to be able to talk to you. Or, you know, maybe I don't want to work with kids, but I have space in my home that could serve as a sponsored residential provider for an adult with intellectual disabilities. Well, we could work with you then. Some people might just want to volunteer. You know, they might not want to partner with us long term, but they want to volunteer. I think any of those individuals, or there's some people that you might know somebody that's been looking for foster parents. I think we do a great job in our foster care program because we want to provide that support to those parents. And so we are with the parents on a regular basis with our training, with our support, to make sure that the road is as easy as possible for them. So I think those areas, those ways, you know, would really be a benefit to our organization.
Alrighty, one last time, how can people reach you?
You can reach us through our website, HopetreeFS.org. You can reach out to me personally through that website. My email address is listed on there, as is all of our leadership team is on there as well.
Well, you've heard them on the mic. Make sure you get out and support our good friends at Hopetree. You'll be seeing me around with Ben, be at some of the events that we have. Support them any way that you can. So, been listening to and viewing on the mic with Mike King here, coming to you from the MIKEKINGBIZ call.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is MIKEKINGBIZ, the voice of RVA business media. At MIKEKINGBIZ, we celebrate the idea that business makes society better.
50% of the employment for our country to constantly. Every Thursday at 6:30 a.m., Mike King and I will introduce you to a local nonprofit for businesses and corporate support of the nonprofit community into their business model. Community First is a nonprofit support company helping all nonprofits with their operational needs. Call us at 804-677-916.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic, the premier business radio program around. This part of the MIKEKINGBIZ radio network, which is ESPN Richmond 106.1 every day from 5 to 7, The Choice 105.3 every day from 2 to 3, as well as International Business Growth Radio. We do like LeBron, we take our talents global, and we showcase what's going on in the community here. So join me as our cutting edge show. We uplift the community and showcase RVA in a different way. You know what time it is. We are here at The Choice, WQCN 105.3. If you want to talk to us, hey, we got a lot going on in the studio today. Give us a call, 804-638-3419. Mike King is here. We got friends in front. We got breaking news. I got news people in the house with us, too. It's not just me. All right, so, you know, I left the light on, and an old friend came back. Okay, so we got the WRIC ABC talent in the house with us, the news team, with the brand new 4 p.m. news. All right, so Eric Phillips is here with us. He's family, but he's been around Richmond for a while, a long time. He got ties here. He left, went to, CBN, but he came back, and now he has a partner here. So I'm going to just throw it over to these guys here on the mic with Mike. Heather and Eric, welcome to the program.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yes, happy to be here. Hey, Mike.
All righty, so Heather, we're going to start with you. So new to Richmond, you've been here forever.
Forever in like 3 weeks.
Okay, there you go. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, Heather Hope here. Tell us who you are and what you do. I always say it's a business show.
Yeah, so name is Heather Hope, new here to Richmond, WRIC, ABC News, Channel 8, with co-anchor Eric Phillips here. We're excited to kick off our 4 p.m. newscast starting Monday, September 12th. So I'm here especially for that. I last came from the CBS affiliate in San Diego. I was in Oklahoma City before that, and I started off in Bakersfield, California. So I'm from Atlanta originally, and I went to school at The Ohio State University.
My grandkids are Buckeye kids.
Okay.
Yeah, they're Buckeye kids, yeah. We used to go to the wing place in German Village. What's the chicken wing place that's all over?
Roosters.
I can remember. See, that's what happens when you get old. I'll remember, but we always enjoy, my son, he lived in Franklin Town. So, so shout out to, we're going to talk about you being here. We're going to talk about some journalism, how you got started. And so folks, also, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have some contests today. We have tickets to the Squirrels game. Shout out to my man, Will Melton from Exponent 21. 4 tickets to the game on Wednesday. I think it's next Wednesday, the 14th. I think that's what it is. We also have a giveaway for some passes. It's gift certificates to the Capitol Ale House. Shout out to my good friends over there at the Capitol Ale House, Amy DeFore and all those guys. Eric Phillips, tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, hopefully folks will remember me. I'm not a stranger to this neck of the woods, but I came to RVA back in 2015 when I first was working for our competitor station.
Not to be named. We are not, no shade, but we are not.
No shade whatsoever. None whatsoever. But that's why I first came to town and left in 2018. And as you mentioned, went to go work for CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network, out of the DC Bureau. So I still was living here in RVA, though.
We used to follow your travels.
Yes.
Me and my wife used to follow you on your travels up to DC every day.
Because I would post a lot on Facebook about my travels, and I had a little section called the Metro Maestro.
Yes.
Because if you ever take the Metro in DC, you know that there are singers, people playing instruments, blowing horns. I mean, you can get some really good performances at the Metro stations in DC. So I always enjoyed that. And sometimes I would stop and go live with them and have a little fun. So it was a good experience. But after a couple of years, this opportunity opened up, and it meant I didn't have to travel from here to DC every day, which was a nice change, because although doing it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I rode a commuter van, coming across town is even better. How about that?
That is true. That cuts down on that commute.
That's right.
It definitely does. All righty, so folks, tell us about your the upcoming news at 4. You guys are moving into that space now to get us. There's a lot of information out there. Let's talk about what people can expect for that. And also, I'd be remiss to say, Minister Tiger, Eric is a religious man as well. Whenever I get around, you guys always want to say, I'd be remiss. My sisters are preachers, so I always like to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't want to thank the folks over at WRIC. Having talent go places is very important, and I understand that. So shout out to them and thank them for that. So you guys can tell us about the newscast.
So, here's the deal. WRIC is going to be the third of the 3 major affiliates here in this market to start a 4 p.m. newscast. And so we gave the others an opportunity to do their 4 p.m. and see what they're doing right and see what they're doing wrong. And now we're going to come at 4 and dominate. That's the basic plan.
That's the way it works.
Yeah. So we'll be starting on Monday, the 12th of September, as Heather mentioned. And we have been preparing immensely for this opportunity. Recently, we did some research in the market, and we know what people are looking for. We know the type of news they're looking for at 4 o'clock, and that's what we plan to give them. We are familiar with the audience, and so we are making a newscast for people who want news at 4 o'clock. And we found out recently that there is an increasing appetite for news at 4.
Yeah, so more people want to see news at that time, and not just regular news, but also traffic. People want more weather. It's always something up and down, roller coaster weather in Richmond. Is it raining? How hot is it going to be?
Because where you came from, I spent a lot of time living up the coast in Monterey. Where you came from, there wasn't roller coaster weather.
At all.
The weather was just nice.
All the time.
All the time.
So
Yes.
you see the forecast, it would be always the same. It was a copy and paste, wash, rinse, repeat kind of forecast. Here in Richmond, you need to stay tuned.
Yes, you do. Now, I'm from up north, and I'm waiting to get to October when they turn the heat off, because it's a little bit on the hot side. All right, so folks, let's talk about journalism. And so I had your colleague on, and we talk about, so John Rogers came on the program, and we also talked about journalism as opposed to TV personalities, that you guys are journalists. And that's what we talk. So let's talk about the pull to journalism and how did it happen and how did you get to TV?
So for me, mainly just starting with newspapers. So I did that when I was at the Ohio State University, and from that background, and the more and more internships that I did, be it in Columbus, be it when I got my master's at USC, and we're looking at all things London. Now I got to intern at the CBS London Bureau, and that was so fascinating seeing news on this macro international level. Because here, we're so provincial, like, oh, we just find out maybe in our city,
Yes.
maybe our county. But when you're on that level, they know what's happening in Spain, Greece is doing what, everyone's following everything. So just really attracted to journalism, and then just seeing how the business continually evolves. Because there's that fine line between media personality and true journalist, and that line gets crossed each time, it gets blurred, and there's so much to it, so many facets. And that's what excites me and brings me back to the business each time.
One of my ESPN Richmond choice, that's where we are. You can give us a shout if you'd like to talk to the good folks here from WRIC. The number is 804-638-3419. So we always talk about when you come into the house, we always talk to Minister Tiger about what's going on out there. So what's happening on the campus?
Welcome back, Mike. Welcome, Brother Eric.
Thank you very much.
Heather.
Glad to be
God bless
here.
y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. This is awesome, man. But Mike always does it. Top shelf. Top shelf.
Well, I got and so back in those days, Eric, I used to hear they had a TV show.
Yeah.
And so that's where I first became acquainted with the Foot family. Never in years would I have ever thought that I would be here. A year and something down the road coming here. We have all kinds of people come through here. This is the place, it's great. The atmosphere is great here. I found a home. So what else is going on?
Well, look, and we want to take a moment and give a shout out to our UK brothers and sisters. The recent loss of world-renowned Queen Elizabeth. So, that's affected everybody across the globe. So we want to just take a moment and honor her life here at Choice 105.3 FM. Also to to Faith and Love Fellowship Church. We got a lot of things going on. We're preparing for a live recording next month. We're actually going to go through a project where we're doing 3 parts to an album that's coming out next year. So we're working on that. Y'all keep it locked here. You're gonna find out more details. Shout out to New Direction Evangelistic Church. They got what's her name? Evelyn Turntine Agee coming in this month to minister there. You know, that's kind of our brother church, my uncle, Bishop Foots, and of course Pastor Foots' brother. So a lot is going on, and we want to thank y'all for always tuning in to Choice 105.3 FM. You're now rocking with the Bless Y'all Choice.
All right, we're at the Choice. So anybody, so we have 4 tickets to the game to the Squirrels. It is on, I'm sorry, folks, if I was prepared and there was a real media personality. All right, on the 14th. So if anyone would want 4 tickets to the 14th, give us a shout. You can come by the church and claim them. So the number is 804-638-3419. You can get pick up your tickets here. This is with Mike King, Exponent 21, and our good family at the church.
Okay, so breaking news.
Breaking news.
We will be at that game as well. So if you happen to come to that game on Wednesday night,
it is community.
It is community night, and we are a part of the community. And so we'll be happy to say hello, shake hands, hug necks, and all that kind of stuff. We'll be there for in between our shows, in between our 6 and 11 o'clock newscast. We'll stop by. So if you pick up the tickets, look for myself, Heather, Deanna, and others from the 8 News team.
Shout out to Deanna out Britton. She came to the program a while back. She really, that was a real conversation I had with her about the media. She's like, my business card says journalist. Like, don't get it confused. It's not just about the glitz and glamour of TV. So WRC is known to be neighborhood oriented. Let's talk a little bit about that right there. What's the core of it?
So, you know, our slogan is the news where you live. And so on a daily basis, we try to live up to that slogan. In other words, stories that are, you know, Heather just talked about how, you know, working in the Bureau in London, they would do things on a macro level. They were looking at it on a large scale. We like to bring it right to your door and how it affects you and your day-to-day life. How do the stories that we're telling you about, how do you digest it? And what does it mean to you as you live your life? That's really what News Where You Live is all about. You know, it may not be that every story we do is right on your street or that it's right in your neighborhood per se, but it's going to be in your area and somehow it's going to affect you. And so it's our job as journalists to point out to you how this affects your life. And we try to do that in a way that's going to be effective each day.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my man, Damon Reynolds over there. That is my guy.
He's my guy too.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is? People have said to me, boy, Damon Reynolds reminds me of Eric Phillips.
People have said that, huh?
Yes, people said. And there were people over at WRIC who said the same thing. When I was there a couple weeks ago, I was there to stuff the bus.
Okay.
We were there that day, and I guess the bad things happened with the bus. But yeah, Deanna had invited me, and when I was there with Damon, and somebody said, wow, you know, he seems like a young Eric Phillips. And you know what I said? That's right.
You know, I have to say, he reminds me of me too. if I'm just honest, I'm like, man, I'm looking at him and I'm saying, wow. Okay, Damon's a good guy. He is. He's new to Channel 8. He's been there for a couple of months. We are super excited to have him on our team. He particularly is a part of our night side team. You'll find him leading the news on 8 News at 11 Monday through Friday, and he is just bringing an energy to the newscast that I think a lot of people are noticing. And, you know, I will say this too, and then without any shame or shade, he is saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, and running for his life.
I have to tell you,
Blood-born believers in the journalism. I like this.
When I first met him, I was doing a TV show, and the conversation had gotten a kind of sideways. So I knew him, but I really didn't know him. I'm like, listen, go and come on air and get recorded and say some soothing words. Because he told me I'm a divinity student. I'm like, well, you're qualified in my book.
Right.
And you know what? That started our relationship. He came on, we've done the TV shows together. So he does have a calming effect. You know, he is a good Christian guy, and it's always a pleasure rocking with him. We're here at The Choice 105.3. We're here with Heather as well as Eric. Let's talk about a person sees you guys on TV. Heather, young girls see you. young boys see, they want to figure out, how do I do this thing? How do I get from here to where you are? The steps.
I know there's so many steps too. You have a route like maybe Devon took with the divinity student. He came from the radio background.
Yes, he did.
Something like this. And then for someone like myself, just having an interest in it, either doing from the newspaper or from the broadcasting standpoint. And for a lot of us, just start in school. So many of us take journalism, communication classes, not knowing if this is something we want to make a career or not. And then from there, getting those internships, meeting people like yourself, getting those real hands-on teaching jobs, getting those mentors, people like Eric, have people to show you the business, show you the ropes. And when you do that more and more, and you finally get that first job, that big break in the business, it all becomes a realization for you.
So, E, when you were at the station, not to be mentioned, so what was it like going from a general regular station to CBN? Because I remember my wife used to write, we're like, yo, there's Eric.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I always had this this desire to work for CBN, to tell you the truth.
Oh, really?
I did. But I never knew exactly how to break into it because there's just not many people who work there. Like, you don't come across people on a daily basis who work at CBN. And the reason why I was interested in doing it is because I always wondered what it would be to sort of marry two main areas of my life, journalism and faith. I wondered what that would be, how that would play out. And going to CBN gave me a chance to play that out on a daily basis. It was awesome, quite frankly. I mean, the types of things that you do in an average newsroom, we did there as well. But for example, the morning meeting started and ended with prayer. That alone was like, whoa!
That's a little different.
Yeah. And if somebody was going out for a surgery or something like that, we would gather at lunchtime to lay hands on them and to pray for them. And in the workplace, and it was not only okay, but it was encouraged, because at the end of the day, you're working for a ministry that had a news component. But we were also serious journalists as well. When you saw our stories, it's not like our stories from beginning to end were all about praise the Lord, hallelujah. I mean, we were talking about real issues. We were covering real
Because
news.
you were on the political beat there.
I was. Well, I started off as national security correspondent there, which there's always a lot to talk about where national security is concerned. And while I was there, I was promoted to White House correspondent, which was awesome, and it gave me some really good experience. So, it was, I will say, a very good experience. I would not have left CBN just for any old opportunity. There had been others that had come along. I would not have left if I didn't feel really that this was the right opportunity for me here at Channel 8, and that God was opening the door for me.
You came home.
That's why I'm here. But certainly no shade to CBN. It was a great experience, and I got a chance to see what that marriage of two main parts of my life would be like.
So Eric is here, Heather is here with us. Heather, ma'am, you are here in Richmond now. What's it like to be a journalist living through a time like George Floyd? And it's something that changed the world. And you've seen the world. So I lived in Europe. I was in the Army for a long time. So lived overseas, a bunch of places. The world isn't as big as people think.
Right.
And there's a bunch of people who live, in their area. But America, we kind of think everything is us. And that's not the case.
Right. We get very insular. Everyone gets very narrow-minded.
What was it like covering the George Floyd? Because people here know what the coverage looked like in Richmond. What was the tenor and tone in California where people think that everything is laid back?
I know it was different. Then you would be like, well, are we going to have protests here? Do people know what this is? How dynamic is it going to be? And it was almost the polar opposite, where the Black community in San Diego, where it wasn't like, oh, let's us all mobilize. There was a lot of non-Black people, a lot of Latinos, a lot of white people who were organizing the rallies. And so that was good on one level. Then you had some Black people like, wait a minute, they like hijacking the movement from us, what's going on? And so we would almost have where we were coming together, but they weren't huge like you'd seen in Atlanta and Dallas, here in Richmond. But it was still good just to see that you have folks from all different backgrounds. Folks don't even know why we're really out there. What does George Floyd mean to me? This is so far away. How does this even work out? But they were starting to learn and getting a crash course on police and race relations that so many people saw over and over again. So maybe that's their lived experience, and everyone was forced to deal with that in May 2020.
And that was something that we talked about. We live in an information age now. And I talked to John Rogers. I also talked to Deanna Britton about what it takes for a story to get to the news. For me, sitting at home looking at it, It's not just like a podcast or someone sitting at the crib, I'm going to post this. No, it's more than that. You guys are making sure news is news.
Well, that's exactly it. And you, in the process of making sure that news is news, that means that we can't do every story that someone calls us about.
I bet you guys did a lot of stories.
Every story that someone emails us about. There is a vetting process that takes place. And while someone may feel very passionate about a subject matter, that doesn't necessarily make it news. So, we have standards that we have to meet. And if we didn't, people would call us out for that. So we have to stay true to ourselves. But the whole idea is, you talk about George Floyd, for example. Not only did George Floyd happen when it did, but it happened in the middle of a pandemic. And at that point, I was at CBN and I was working from home. All of us were working from home. So there I was in my basement as national security correspondent. That's a huge national security issue that's happening, that's unfolding in our nation, in our world. And so I was essentially in charge of most of the stories involving Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and any of the others that were happening around that time. It was a heavy time. It was very heavy, every day covering that type of news and identifying with it at the same time, but having to be an objective journalist where that's concerned. It was a heavy time. And I'm in some ways, I'm glad that I was able to be in my basement by myself in some ways covering it, because I was able to process it the way that I needed to process it there. But that is all part and parcel of what we have to do on a daily basis. Perhaps not always on a George Floyd level, but every day we have to, put on our big boy pants and big girl pants and do stories. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're tough, but we always have to make sure they're news.
Eric Phillip is there. Heather Hope is here with us. They are the news team, 4 p.m. WRIC. At that time, whether it's the pandemic, George Floyd, content is just flying out there. It's like, how do you keep up with it? And from a news standpoint, how do you know what to broadcast? What do you hold back? There's a competitive side. I mean, I know it was an exciting time, but I know it had to be crazy.
Right, and there's that vetting process that Eric's talking about when you're seeing so many different things. And emerging media, TikTok really exploded in 2020. So
I never thought, the funny thing was, I feel like the oldest man in history. I never thought that TikTok would be taken seriously. Businesses jumped on it.
We get videos from it, and then I think Trump almost shut it down, and then it still came back. And so now people are doing full broadcasts through it. People are selling products through it. And so when folks are even submitting resumes and then you see video from that we may want to use for a newscast, it goes down like vetting, how can we use this, using the full TikTok background just to know that, hey, make sure they get their money, make sure we're not like stealing their content. And we see so many clips and videos, we get phone calls from all different sources. So it's a lot to go through each day that comes through our digital team, so many eyes, our producers who lay eyes on it and make that big game time decision as to what will be on our newscast.
So you guys are on at 4 o'clock. We're going to get to the logistics of this right here. We talked to the morning folks, and I'm a morning person, so that part does not bother me. What time do you get to the station to be on at 4?
I know that me and Eric are different because he anchors and holds it down for the evening newscast. Well, I'll be there earlier in the day today for the noon show, and so I'll have kind of your standard 9 to 5, 9:30 to 5 or 6:30 type schedule, and that's when I get in. We have our morning editorial meeting at 9:30, and so that's when I start my shift. And then Eric comes in with so many of us doing our 2:30 p.m. meeting.
It's a 2:30. Alrighty. Heather, you've gone multiple cities. How do you go to a city and learn enough of the city to start reporting on it?
And that's the cool thing about reporting. They don't care how much you learn of it. You will still report, and as you report, you learn. So it's almost like with life. It's a life class. You hop in somewhere, you say this, you know it's not Henrico, it's Henrico.
I had the same one. I did have that. Yes, and people are corrected because I was called a Parham, and people are like, no, and it's not Henrico. Okay, and people know that you're not from here.
I know the Polite versus the Powell Height.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing.
Yes.
That is an ongoing debate.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So wait a second. So Dana Armstead is a friend of ours. She runs a nonprofit called Baby Buns for Life. And I'm sure maybe people have heard about it. It is, they support families with kids in the NICU. So, and it is spinal cord, September is Spinal Cord Awareness Month, Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month. So make sure, hey, get out and support our good friends over there at Baby Buns for Life. Dana is doing some amazing work. It became Baby Buns for Life because she announced to her husband that they were having a baby, and it was buns in the oven.
Oh, okay.
But their child has had some medical challenges. Their child was in the NICU for a year. That's what they do, is they support them. Dana, shout out to them. Lisa Training, a good friend over there. She's at Bombshell. She's not at Bombshell, but she is our branding expert. She's my partner there at One of Women Speaking Sports. So you learn the area as you're reporting on it. What stood out? And has it been a while since you've been on the East Coast?
It has. I've never worked on the East Coast profession. It's always been West Coast or Central Time Zone. So, and the first time for ABC affiliates. So each place you go, it's something new. And then I have the majority of my family here on the East Coast. A lot of people went to Hampton. All my family went to Spelman and Morehouse. A lot in Atlanta out here. So it's cool. We all can be on the same time zone because as we saw during the pandemic, everyone's calling all day. A lot of family group chats. Versus in the morning, and so I'm not getting it at 5 a.m. this time. So I'm getting it on Eastern Standard Time.
You know, I kind of say you're getting with the rest of us, but that is no shade. California, I always say shout out to California. It did change me fundamentally. That my mindset totally changed. I was 19 when I went, and I understood that you didn't have to be your stuff. There was people were more holistic, and that was sort of my thing. Hey, you're listening to Mike King. I'm sitting in for Coach E right now. Coach E is a financial expert. She's not in today. We're going to catch up with her next week. As I said, we do have Squirrels tickets. We also have passes to Capitol Ale House. So if you guys want those, make sure you give us a shout. We're here with not the morning team. It is the 4 p.m. team from WRIC. We are here. We'll be back.
So we call ourselves the extreme team, just so you know.
All right, man. I was waiting for the real Eric Phillip to pop out.
Just telling you,
he was holding it in for a while.
So the morning team, at Channel 8, the morning team is the dream team, and the evening team is the extreme team, because we are extreme.
I can imagine that the evening crew is like that. So what is it like going from different affiliates to, say, if you're a CBS affiliate to an 80s? Is it a culture difference, or when you're getting there, you're reporting the news?
Yeah, a lot of times there isn't a huge change that you like that's palpable that you know. I was at a lot of CBS and started off a lot of NBC affiliates. It's cool when you look at your different lead-ins. Like for our 4 p.m., it'll be Dr. Phil, but we also had Dr. Phil as a lead-in for the 4 p.m. at my last station. But now we're seeing more ABC shows. Like Eric and I are a promo now for Abbott Elementary, which we've come to.
Not from Philly. So okay. You know that's a spot for me.
Right.
That has to be the funniest show going. And it is stereotypical, but you know they're hitting it on every time. When people see you, so you're here now, but in San Diego, when people would look at you and are trying to figure you out. Like, we don't think you guys are real. You guys are not. We just see you in that box right there, telling us good stuff, telling us bad stuff, a joke every so often. But you're not real people. And then when people meet you, what's it like?
How they treat you when they see you in the streets. Yeah.
You know, I think that people are kind of used to seeing me in the streets around here. So usually it's like, hey, are you that guy?
Hey, are you
that? Well, and you know, sometimes I've gotten, are you a football player? I'll say, well, actually, yes, I am. No, but folks are always extremely gracious. And in this market, people watch their local news. Like, you know, some markets, I guess people may be a little bit more prone to watch national news and that type. Here in Richmond, people don't just watch it on a surface level. People are watching. They're watching the type of stories you do. They're watching what you follow up on. They're watching how you deliver it. And they will speak back to you via email, via social media, phone calls, and let you know that they are watching. So, you know, when you say how we receive when we're out in the streets, I think that there is a sense of familiarity because people are paying attention, very close attention to their local news.
The socials, how can people find you out there?
Yeah, so on IG, on Instagram, I'm Heaven Hope TV. It's the same for Twitter, I believe. No, it's Hope News 8 my last station was News 8, but now it's 8 News. I'm like, well, that's close enough. So that's me on Twitter, and then on Facebook is also facebook.com/HeatherHope
Back in the, now this is where it started to feel like the old man. Back in the day, I remember we used to watch the team in DC. We used to live in Gaithersburg, and when they went to commercial, they started with the whole hand game, playing games, just having a good time on the commercial breaks. Now you guys don't have that time anymore. The second it's over, I remember you would go right off, we'll be back in a moment, and here you're right on to the social media thing.
Yeah, well, so because people, that is a major way that folks are following you these days. And what you're talking about is I used to go, when I was anchoring mornings in particular, I would go live on Facebook while I was anchoring the show. And in so doing, it created this group of people known as the Vegetables. And we just kind of picked the name and called them the Vegetables. And there was a group that actually followed me very regularly on social media, on Facebook. And then it grew into meetups.
Remember we went to the one over on the south side?
Yes.
That's where me and my wife were there that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, so, we had about 3 of them, I think. And people would show up and they just wanted to be part of the group. And it was one of those things where, you're living life together and just kind of encouraging one another. That's what the group is and was all about. So it just goes to show the power of social media and, again, how closely people are paying attention. I want to say this too, because it's kind of unique where Heather and I are concerned, because you always talk about the big 6 degrees of separation. Heather gets here and we're talking, and of course I find out that she's from Atlanta, and I said, I lived in Atlanta for a while. And she said, and I asked her what church she went to, because she grew up in Atlanta, what church she went to. Turns out she and I went to the same church in Atlanta at the same time.
Come on, man. How many churches are there in Atlanta? It's not like you're going to Atlanta. It's just like there's 3 churches. What's the chances of that?
At the same time, and if you names out Smyrna, I'm like, Smyrna, Georgia. Wait a minute. At that time, only about a few that we would have been at necessarily. It was a church outside of Detroit, and we were going to about year 2000. So we were at the same time. Eric was singing in the choir. Had no idea, how everyone will connect later on.
All right. So what we do here, you just can't put out names. Like, you got to give a church shout out. What's the name of the church?
We were at FCC Faith Christian Center for the longest. I was going there in the early 90s. Eric said you came in there for
in 2000 or 2008. It was a satellite church. Part of Word of Faith Christian Center in Southfield, Michigan. Bishop Keith Butler is the bishop of that church. He opened satellite churches all over the country. One of them was in Atlanta called Faith Christian Center. His son at the time, Pastor Andre Butler, was the pastor. And so, we were there at the same time. Did not know it until we started working together here, at WRIC, and just talking about, Atlanta. Hey, where'd you worship? Oh, I worship it. And then we were asking each other questions to make sure. Yeah, are you sure? We had to vet one another.
We just had an opening for a tenor voice here too, just to let you know.
Oh, really?
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what's called recruiting at its best. Right. You can't open a door like that. Show us what you got. All right, so wait a second. You have a guy who's in a movie. I saw your post. Shout out your guy right there. And you know what? The movies that they make at that brand are outstanding.
Oh man, I am so very proud. He's my brother. He's my brother from another mother. His name is Harlan Ernest. And if you go onto my Facebook page, you'll see I posted about it today. The movie is actually being released in theaters today. It's called Lifemark, the makers of Fireproof and what's the name? Fireproof and I can't think of the name of the other one right now. But anyway, the makers of those movies are coming out with a new movie called Lifemark. It's about a kid who was adopted and this whole journey in terms of meeting his birth mother. And it's a family-friendly movie, and it is Christian themed. And my boy Harlan, he is in it. It's his biggest role so far, and it's been so great watching him grow in his craft. Because I've been on the sidelines and in the background watching him work and try to do what he can to boost his acting career. This is his biggest role yet. I wouldn't say he's a starring role, but it's his biggest role yet, supporting role in the movie. And so I'm really excited and happy for him, and I encourage folks to go out and see. It's only going to be in movie theaters for 1 week. And again, it's called Lifemark. It's playing here in this local market, so give it a try.
So when I looked at that, there was a movie that I saw also there. This was called Discarded Things, and it was the same Christian-based, faith-based movie. So And when you're checking out that one, make sure you check this out, Discarded Things. They're really doing some great things. So one of Mike King sitting in for Coach E. Up next, we have Steph B. She is the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown. She also has 16.
Is it a firm though?
I think as far as
Samuel,
I think it's Kendrick Brothers or yeah,
Alice Kendrick. That's right.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. And yes.
Yes. Find out more.
Fire, that is. You know what?
And the other one's called Like.
The one that's opening tonight is called Life Park. Yes.
And shout out to them. Good luck to them out there with all the things. Yeah. If you ever wants to come on, this is the place. That's what we do. We talk to the best and the brightest. But Steph B is up next with the Brook. She is the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown. She also gives you 16 bars of business. She gives you business, society, culture, everything wrapped up into one. There's nobody else like her out there. All right. So also on the mic with Mike, shout out to my crew, which is Women Speaking Sports, RVA. They do sports. They do sports every Wednesday at the Hilton downtown. So shout out to good friends at the Hilton. That is Lisa Triney, Steph B, Dr. Danny, Danielle Fitzhugh, Carrie Roth, as well as Star Mallory. They give you sports. It's women speaking sports, and they had a little bit of an argument going the other day. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan, so I mean both of them. The Steelers, I'm okay. The Cowboys, I'm sorry. I just want to be petty because I'm in church. I don't want to go there, but I may need some help because there's no. All right, so we got to run. I know these folks got to get over and do. The newscast starts on Monday. Once again, how can people find you guys out there?
Yeah, so I'm again at Heather Hope TV. Those are my handles for Instagram and for Facebook there.
Yeah, so on Facebook, I'm just Eric Phillips. Phillips has one L. And on Instagram, Eric Phillips TV. And on Twitter, just simply Eric Phillips.
So, folks, I know you guys run into a lot of people. Heather, you're going to start meeting people. They're going to start telling you stories about things. If there's anyone out there, any nonprofits who need help, that's what we do every day. Last year, my platform, we donated 19,000 minutes of free airtime to nonprofits to come and tell their story. They have a story. We're helping them get the word out with good friends and supporters like we have here at The Choice as well. So you guys know of any nonprofits that are out there. This is Mike King. We are here coming to you from The Choice WQCN. Mr. Tiger, anything else you want to give us before we jump off?
No, shout out to Eric for looking out for the Metro musicians. We're the
Metro
home
Maestros.
Metro Maestros. We're the home of independent gospel artists. So that's another independent artist that we need to recognize. Those who are out there doing it right on the street. That's as independent as you can get. So shout out to that. I hope you can bring that. Well, we don't have Metro. I don't know what to call them here.
Yeah, it's a little difficult because they were right there at the Metro stations. You would get off the train and they'd be there jamming, just like, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. But it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It was fun doing that. So one of the benefits of going to DC every day.
Yeah.
There you go. On the mic, Mike, we'd like to thank you folks for coming in. It's been an honor, Heather. It's nice to meet you. Welcome to Richmond. I've been here 8 years now. It is a city that it's welcoming. A lot's going on here. There's opportunity from a business standpoint, and that's where I hang my hat. There's a lot going on here. Shout out to even the administration during when they made the decision to take the statues down. It was, I came from conservative radio. There were not many people who were happy. And when I asked the mayor how you want to be remembered, he said, I want to be remembered because I made a consequence. I had other administrations because I asked them, what would you want history to say about LeVar Stoney 100 years from now? And he said, I wanted to be of consequence. I'm like, sir, you took those statues down, you were remembered. One way or the other. It's not going to be, I wonder if he had anything to do with that meals tax thing. Nah, people were not. So this is a place, one of Mike, we bring you the best and the brightest. As I say, part of the MIKEKINGBIZ Radio Network. ESPN Richmond 6.1 every day, 5 and 7. The Choice, that's what we are. This is, folks, Mr. Tiger, we've had the band come on here.
Yeah.
We've had all of our friends come through. This is the place.
Is this season 2 plus? What is this?
We're
never divided up.
I don't know. I just show up here on Fridays just having a good time. I tell the crew, come and meet us down here. Like I said, well, your dad came to ESPN. I had to explain to the pastor, If you own this station,
Oh, yeah.
you can take all the time you want.
That's right.
I'm on the clock over there. You know, if we gotta, I'm worried when I get a passport
I
microphone.
noticed they kind of kept bringing the mics. I know my dad gets into it. So we in the mic, but they kept bringing the mic down. I'm like, hey.
Getting comfortable.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Foot here.